Good.
Look at the camera straight. All right, let's go. Go.
Ready? Good morning, Viking country, and welcome to West Hills School. What? That's not muted? Oh, look at that, the first blooper. That'll loosen everything up. Hold on.
Sorry, technical.
All right, that better. Okay, here we go. You know I gotta start that again.
Yes.
Good morning, Viking country, and welcome to West Hills School-wide Virtual Assembly to discuss our student attendance policy and those very interesting AGRs. Today we have with us Ms. Fabre, Mr. Ortiz, and some wonderful students to help you learn all about it. So without any further ado, I'm going to kick it over to Mr. Ortiz to take it away. Go ahead, sir. It's all yours.
Good morning, everyone. So we wanted to hold this session because we have been getting a lot of questions related to the new attendance policy. Once those AGRs started getting inputted by teachers, a lot of students kept coming up to us asking what this means, what do I do to get out of it. So we're hoping that in these 15 minutes we can clear up some questions. Again, at the end of this, if you still do have any other questions, you can reach out to me in an email, come and see me during lunch, or in my office. But just so we can get started and moving along, first slide goes over the new attendance policy. Very general bullet points here. If you saw the whole policy, it would be a couple of pages long. So what we did was try to condense it into 3 slides here so we can explain it a bit easier. Your absences now potentially affect your grades. As you remember last year, that wasn't really the case. Somewhere around mid-September, things were finalized with the new policy. So now, I hope you've heard by now that per quarter, attendance is being measured. Periods 1 through 3 that run every other day, you are allowed 3 unexcused absences. The moment you go over 3, you potentially will have this AGR inputted. Period 4, it runs every day. The district is allowing 5 absences. Once you go over 5 unexcused or unexempt, then you will have your AGR inputted there as well. Along with it, not only absences, tardies. Tardies are a very, very big thing, not only because you're potentially missing time for setting up for the day, but you have 8 minutes to get from class to class. That's, I think, more than enough. It used to be 5, now you have 8. So less of an excuse to get to class late. 4 absences equal 1, 4 tardies equal 1 absence. In the system, a lot of students ask me, well, if I have 3, does that not equal 4, and why do I have my AGR? The way the system works is each tardy is a 0.25 that eventually adds up for the full absence. So if you have 1 tardy and 3 absences, it's basically in the system a 3.25. If you have 2 tardies, 3.5. 3 tardies, 3.75, that 4th tardy puts you at 4 absences. So I hope that helps explain that part of it. This is the most important slide, I think, in my opinion, because it explains the difference between exempt absences and excused absences. If you've met with me, I've tried my best to explain, but now you have a visual to support it. The bottom bullet point, it says, exempt absences do not count towards your allowed absences per quarter. Excused absences do count towards the allowed absences per quarter. So on the right side of the slide, it shows you what are considered exempt, what are considered excused. Now, I'll fast forward a bit. Why do excused absences still count towards the AGR? Excused absences basically show that you were not in class for a reason listed in the policy. So excused absences, if you're picked up early, if you have some type of medical appointment, dentist, dermatologist, physical, so those are non-emergency related medical visits. You stay home because you're not feeling well, and you provide a parent note to support that, it'll go in as excused. And then college visits, orientations, college interviews, things like that, they are all excused absences. Now, if you go over the 3 or the 5 allowed, and they're all excused, you are still in the AGR situation the following quarter. I'll explain more in a sec. The absences that do not count towards that 3 and 5 allowed are exempt absences. So you'll see all the reasons listed on the right side, bereavement, someone unfortunately passes away, court appearance, school-related activities or field trips, long-term illnesses with a doctor's note saying that you were out for 2 or 3 weeks and the doctor provided that note. Mental health day, you get 2 a year, so you are allowed to provide a note. It does not have to be a doctor's note. It can be a parent note, but you're only allowed 2 mental health days a year. Religious holidays, suspensions, and short-term illness. So if you do go to the doctors and they keep you home for a day or 2, you provide a doctor's note saying they recommended that, that will go in as exempt. I hope that clears up a lot of it because there have been a lot of questions as to which one counts towards what. I just want to make sure I say this is a district policy. It's not a West Hill or Stanford High or AIT policy. We all follow the same policy outlined by what was approved by the district. So I know there's been some frustration since this all came out, but that's why we're holding this, just so we share all the info and hopefully into quarter 2, 3, and 4, we have a bit more or less AGRs down the road. We'll be on the next slide. Next slide goes into what the AGR process means. So students who passed quarter 1 but went over the attendance limit during quarter 1 now have this AGR sitting there as a placeholder. The way you could look at it is a warning. You're not failing, but it is a warning that you might fail. And why it goes there is because you have many unexcused or excused absences. Again, there's a difference between exempt and excused. So if you have more than the allowed unexcused, or you have more than the allowed excused in a quarter, you'll have this AGR sitting there for 5 weeks. During those 5 weeks, the plan is to hopefully not have more than 2 unexcused absences. If you go over 2, but you've provided notes, both exempt and excused absences will bring your passing grade back. That's where a lot of the confusion lies, where yes, excused absences will still push you into AGR, but while you're in AGR, both excused and exempt absences will get you out of AGR. What we're trying to do is reduce the amount of students not being what they're supposed to be, not coming to school for illegitimate reasons. So as long as you have some type of note provided throughout those 5 weeks, your grade will go back to passing. If you go over and you did not provide notes, the district says you'll have an F with a 58% for that class. So yes, it is a placeholder. Biggest thing I can recommend is use the absence form to code your absences. And we'll go into the last slide, it goes into the notes and how to submit notes. But the biggest thing is to code those absences. Say where you were, say that it was a parent or a doctor or whoever it might be knew that you were out of school or out of class for whatever reason, and I promise you that will bring back your passing grade. You are allowed 2 absences, so if you didn't code 2 and didn't go over with tardies or absences, the grade will go back as well. Next slide, so the notes. In terms of notes, so I work with someone to make sure your Power School is accurate, but I am the one that reads and sees all the notes. In order, and I've been here for 3 months and I've seen all sorts of notes. So I provided some examples to show which ones are the ones that have gotten approved. Obviously no student name or demographic information is in there, but it is an example of what kind of notes we are looking for. So there, one is on the left under the approved, it is a doctor's note. Basically says the student's name, the date, the reason of the absence, and some type of signature. Those are the 4 main things that we would need in any type of note. So the first approved one there is a doctor's note. The second one is I believe it's a sick note written by a parent, but again, or maybe an appointment note, I think it is. But either way, written by a parent, date, student name, reason of the absence, and that person's signature, that guardian or parent's signature. Without that, guys, if it looks like any of the ones below, these are real screenshots that I got from students. The first one is I was not feeling well, and there was no date, there was no parent signature, and there was no name. So that was missing all that. Second one on there is maybe a social studies assignment. So I know that the form requires some type of submission. This person submitted a social studies assignment giving the reason in the rest of the form, but again, no note caused them to not get it approved. And the last one is just, they might have taken a picture of their hand or of a blank area, just again to fulfill that requirement. It did not get approved. So I hope this helps in that sense. But again, if you ever submit something and it hasn't been coded in 4 or 5 days, please come and see me. I run a list and have a list of reasons as to why that specific one wasn't approved. That way you can try to resubmit it after we speak. But if it hasn't been approved in the last 4 or 5 days, come look for me. Again, it could be in the cafeteria during all 4 lunch waves or in my office. Anytime you want to stop by, as long as I'm free, I'll try to help out. Or you can email me as well. Another big thing, and I'll end with this portion, it's got to be submitted within 10 days of the absence. It is something that the policy says. It's not my rule, it's not Principal Rinaldi's rule, it is what the policy says. So I have got to go with what everything it says, the reasons, and when it needs to be submitted by, and how it needs to be submitted. It's all a district process. So that is what I had planned.
That was an outstanding job, Mr.
Yes,
Ortiz.
thank you. So Ms. Faber would like to introduce
Thank you
us.
so much for all of that information. I will share this presentation with everyone. I'll share with teachers and I'll email it to students. Just in case we miss any information, you will have that. And now I'm going to turn it over to our West Hill students who have a couple of questions. Please introduce yourselves.
Good morning, my name is Angel. I am part of the JRCC here and I am a 12th grader.
My name is Kaylee Ortiz and I'm a junior.
My name is Taina Domerke and I'm a junior as well.
Alright, so I have a question for Mr. Ortiz. What do I do if a teacher marks me absent while I was present?
Very good question. So in case you might have not heard it, what do I do if a teacher marks me absent but I was present? It happens from time to time, and mistakes do happen from time to time. When students have come up to me asking me that question, I let them know, go speak to your teacher directly first. At the end of the day, I can't do anything with the teacher's attendance record without them confirming it. So the sooner you let them know, the sooner they can remember to either make the change. Now, if it is too long and they do want to make a change, the teacher would have to reach out to me directly so that I could go in. But if that happens, biggest advice is speak to them directly, and they'll get in touch with me if they need to for a change. Okay? Thank you.
My question is, what do I do if I'm meeting with another staff member in school during class time and I'm marked absent? For example, social workers, counselors, and administration, and others.
Good question. So if you're with another faculty member and you are marked absent or tardy or whatever the case is, that staff member could either get in touch with me or there's a form that they've been sent to fill out so that we can make sure we code it correctly. So the teacher marked you absent not knowing that you were with someone in the building, which was their job. But again, that staff member has a process as to what they need to do to make sure that you get exempt for that absence or that tardy or whatever it might be. So if you're with someone, they should know what to do. If not, they can get in touch with me.
I have another question.
Yes.
Can I have family emergencies exempted?
Very good question. So from the beginning of the year, I get a lot of notes that just say family emergency. I wish I had a code that was for family emergency. Unfortunately, I need to find out what that emergency is, because what I try to do is I link it to one of the codes that are provided. If we could go back a couple of slides really quick. These reasons right here are the only reasons I can really exempt absences. So if the family emergency is related to one of these reasons in the policy, please say yes, it's a family emergency, but give a sentence or two explanation as to what the emergency was. Without that info, family emergency is very, very general, and I just can't do something about a general family emergency. Now, if you tell me what it is, I try my best to help out.
Okay, thank you.
Alright, and I have one more question.
Yep.
So what do I do if I fill out the form and submit it, but my absences don't get coded?
Yes, so I appreciate the question. Sometimes students stay quiet for a long time and they don't check in and ask why their absence wasn't coded. Similar to what I was just going through with the notes, if you see it's not coded on PowerSchool within 4 or 5 days, come and look for me, because again, it is important with this new policy to make sure you're exempting your absences. If you do your part and something's not approved or it doesn't get coded in the next few days, come and look for me. I let you know what the reason is. If you did submit it within the time, I give you a second chance to resubmit, so that hopefully that way we work together and get it done properly.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for all of those questions.
Awesome.
That's it for us. Do we have time for anything else? Any other questions?
I'll tell you what, I think you all did an outstanding job. Ms. Ortiz, fantastic. Ms. Fabre, thank you very much. And thank you, Ms. Letson, behind the camera. And thank you, Mr. Otterspor, who helped us set all this up. And just remember, this is super important, guys. You need to pay attention to all of this, review it, it's gonna be sent to you. You don't wanna work hard in school and then mess up your grades and your GPA because you didn't pay attention and adhere to the attendance policy. So we're doing everything we can to make sure you are informed, but you have to take responsibility for yourself to be informed and to stay informed. Okay? So I think that's it. Good job, everybody. All right, let's give ourselves a round of applause, please. Thank you, everybody. Have a great